You played against Robert Saleh's defenses. I'm sure you know Aaron Rodgers will. Just the idea of a head coach being fired in week 5. You've seen that team play. What were your immediate reactions?
Yeah, I mean, in a game that you normally don't get surprised by, this definitely was something I was surprised with, just in how early it was. This is not a bad football team by any stretch of the imagination. They played. Aaron Rodgers didn't play great against the Minnesota Vikings in that defense, but they made a lot of teams look pedestrian. I mean, you look at, they made life very difficult for Jordan Love when he came back. I mean, I don't know if CJ Stroud's had a worse game, this year or last year than he had against the Minnesota Vikings. So I mean, this is a team that's really good. So to be able to judge all of that off of one performance, I think it's a knee jerk reaction. I just don't. You never see a team really get better too often when you make a coaching decision like this. It's just I just think it's a bit premature.
How does Aaron Rodgers get going? Again, you've seen him enough through the years. I know you never played against him literally. He's never not a defensive player, but you've seen him at his best. What is still in there for Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, he's the most accurate thrower of the football over the course of his career. So what happened last week was a bit of abomination. They just need to get back to playing, the ball that he's capable of playing. I mean, they lost a tough game in the rain last week to the Denver Broncos, which really hurt. You would love to see him win that game, but it was a sloppy game. They haven't gotten like just blown out, right? They haven't gotten beat, handily in any game. They're in there in the competition. He has two really good receivers. Bryce Hall is fabulous back. I mean, I just think that they just need to be able to put it together. And Aaron just needs to get a little bit more comfortable. I know, he missed all the last season, and so he's just kind of working off the rust from taking a year off. And I think he still has a lot of juice in the tank, personally.
You mentioned, the Vikings have taken it to everybody. I was at that game against the Texans, and you would think that they were playing one of the worst teams in the league, not a team that looks like they're an AFC contender. You're a former Vikings ball boy as well. What is your level of surprise at the Vikings being one of the two remaining unbeaten teams, along with the two-time defending Chiefs?
See, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you would have asked me earlier, I would have never guessed this. You look at the guys that they lost, on the offensive side. You look at the guys they lost on the defensive side. You look at Darnold's history and the places that he's done. He's never had this type of level of success. Like there were so many indicators that would say that the Vikings wouldn't be in this position. Plus, in my opinion, they're in the strongest division in football. I mean, you look at the Packers, what they were accomplished last year. You look at the Detroit Lions, what they were able to accomplish. You look at all the additions that the Chicago Bears have made offensively, defensively with the weapons they had. So, beginning of the year, I thought they would be the fourth best team in the division, and lo and behold, they're the best team. But we've only gotten through 5 games, and this is a marathon, not a sprint. But right now, they definitely look like the best team in the NFC.
So one of the other big news items that's tied to the Jets as well, Davante Adams going through a situation where obviously he's gone to the Raiders and said he prefers to move on. He would love to be back with one of his buddies, Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, although Carr got beat up and Aaron Rodgers' head coach was fired a couple of hours ago here. Knowing Davante, seeing him play throughout the course of his career, where do you think is the best spot, and what do you make of this situation overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're 30 years old, I mean, you're kind of assessing your career. Like you've made a bunch of money, you've achieved like all of the personal accolades. I think you're definitely in the conversation to be a Hall of Famer. You want to be able to go out and have a chance to win. And if I'm looking around the landscape of places where I could be a really good player in a great system, you got to look at the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they played against the Houston Texans in that first half. Josh just couldn't find continuity with anybody. He's had that safety blanket of Stephon Diggs for a long time. They've had the best, in terms of quarterback to receiver numbers over the last 5 years than anybody in the game. Like he needs that dominant guy again, and Davante will provide that from day one. And there's another team that people probably wouldn't say because of the way they're constructed, but the Baltimore Ravens, man, you put him on that
Mm-hmm.
team knowing that there's going to be 8 men in the box every single snap to take Lamar and King Henry away, and you give him one-on-one coverage, like I like that. I like that. That bodes well for them. And so, I know he probably might not like the way that system runs, but he's going to be one-on-one and have plenty of opportunities to make plays the way he's always made throughout his career. So those are the two teams. If I was like looking at the landscape, where I would possibly try to position myself to get to.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.